and it just seemed to inclusively and spiritually fit so many different genres and so many different interests that it just kind of blew my mind that it just came from the heart. So,
Was there something about that workshop that inspired you to do that writing at that time?
I believe so. I am a single mother and I returned to college in addition to working full time. And I believe it was a transition. It transcended things that had happened in my past life, my upbringing, and just has brought me to different levels. And that's also what Well Arts has done as well, is help me grow and evolve. So, yeah, definitely.
Do you still talk to Manilow?
Funny thing, when I was a little girl, I can't believe that I'm admitting this, I would run in front of the TV when he would be on the Johnny Carson show and just be in awe. And it was Barry Manilow was the only thing that could calm me down as a little girl. And I can't say that I listened to him as an adult, but yeah, that's hence the name Manilow.
What would you like our viewers to take away from this story tonight?
I think this story is just the gift that keeps on giving for me. Every time that it's heard, I get a different response from people that hear it that say, oh, I had a dog. It reminds me of my first dog. My mother drank. I lived in an abusive home. There's just so many ways that it has resonated in people's hearts that I could have never imagined. So I think that each time it's heard, it's a different experience for not only me, but the people that get to listen to it. So serving its purpose.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For sharing. That's a very poignant and personal and very intimate story.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
I hope to hear more stories from you in the future. And now Mickey Lipsey will perform Suspended Animation, written by Martha Simpson.
My grandmother is a story we will have to talk about because she was my mentor. She graduated from college at 16. Brilliant, brilliant woman. And I literally sat at her feet on hot summer days and listened to her stories of Charleston, of race riots, of the boy who pulled the earring out of her lobe, of the people of Charleston, the house they lived in. All of these things she brought to my heart. She was a marvelous woman who married a man who was going to bring her to a plantation in Louisiana. Turned out to be red clay. I mean, they had enough, but she could have been very wealthy. And she found herself in red clay and working in her home in a way that she never had before. She said, I remember not having money in my hand because she had a mother-in-law from hell who managed everything. But here was this brilliant woman, and people seemed to love her. They called her Maggie. Her name was Margaret. I cannot imagine anyone calling Margaret Maggie. Oh, the blacks loved her. And she didn't say it in these terms, but that was the population that worked on the farms, and how one could cook a possum, and they would kill a possum and bring it to her because Miss Maggie could do anything. And she would cook the possum for them. And all the time, we're talking once a year or something, but it was something that made them love her because she would do these things. Because she was brought up with a nanny who was black that she loved. And she had no feeling that there was anything but love there. She remembers them putting broken glass above the wall and back of their home so when they had the race riots, they couldn't crawl over and hurt Miss Maggie. No, her nanny held her and loved her when nobody else did. Her mother, her nanny held her when no one else did. Her mother was a very proper lady. So that was the woman who gave her love. And someone asked me why I did not have the conflicts that we had back in the racial times. And I said the first woman that I ever knew, the first person I ever loved was black, because my mother was sick and my two older sisters weren't old enough to take care of us. Aunt Rena was my nanny, and she held me in her arm, and I sat on her lap, and well, it was sort of like my grandmother all over again, having her nanny, and I had mine for a short period of time. So the people you love are the people you reach out to. Oh, she helped the blacks in many ways. And once, do you know what the word suspended animation means? My grandmother had a child who died and buried her, and my grandmother thought that child was not really dead, and they thought she was just hysterical. So going forward a few years, her baby, my aunt, died, but hot summer day, and she said this baby is not dead, and she would not let the people come and bury her. And the community came out literally to take that baby because they said she'd gone crazy with hysterics. And black people came to my grandmother's house with guns and kept the townspeople away. And my grandfather was out working somewhere. Oh, he was a cabinet maker. And then mother-in-law from hell came to take that dead baby to bury it. And while she was there, she saw, I think, an eyelid quivered, and within hours, that baby began breathing and so on, and they called it suspended animation. But that was the kind of woman my grandmother was. She believed, and she had the rifle, and these blacks had rifles, and they kept the townspeople from taking that dead baby because they knew it was not dead. That's a story. It sounds like I made it up. But she said, I buried one, I won't bury another one. Aunt Mill lived 85, maybe 89 years. No brain damage, nothing wrong. She just came back a little baby and lived a little.
Martha, welcome. What was it like for you to write this story in the workshop?
I didn't know I was going to write it. We were told that this program was going to be happening, and I volunteered with the rest. And I walked in the room, and there were all of us older people, and there were all of these older people who were going to write about us older people. And there was a young man there, and we looked at each other, and we were the two. And we began writing, and suddenly we found another room. And we went in that room, and he opened up his computer, and whatever happened had.
Wow. Sounds like quite a memorable experience for you.
Well, I learned about him as much as he learned about me, because we'd shut off the computer and then he would talk. And so we had a lot of similar experiences, but I taught that age group, and we understood each other. And it was a beautiful experience.
Is there anything more you want to add about this story?
I was talking with someone before I came in here about something I had written a short while ago. And in the last paragraph of it, I had a brother who died last year.
Oh, sorry for your loss.
In writing it, I said, you know, I've been told that as long as you can speak a person's name, that person never dies. And I'd like to think that my grandmother never died.
Yes.
She was a remarkable woman.
It seems like she does live in your heart.
I think in the heart of everyone who knew Miss Maggie, I hated the name Miss Maggie. Margaret is so much more. But she talked to people, and she understood people. And that was her gift. And how she came from that illustrious background, as it were, to where she ended up. I wonder how she brought all of that with her, all of that love and all of that understanding. And I like to think it sort of began with her nanny.
With her nanny.
Because her mother was a rather cold woman. I do a lot of genealogy, and when I read the things that happened, I realize who gave her that love and that understanding.
Okay.
And maybe Aunt Rena did that for me.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be the mom or the dad or...
It's who gives you that what you need at that time in your life that you needed. And hers was a dog.
Yes,
Mine was my grandmother.
yes. What would you like the viewers, the audience to take away from your story tonight?
I think we all have a Miss Maggie in our lives somewhere. And I think that the greatest disservice we can give to people is not to acknowledge that and give them grace when you speak about them.
Do you think it takes any amount of courage or determination to get into a workshop and have that kind of an experience, or is that...
Oh, I didn't plan that experience. No, didn't take courage. We just, a young man and an older woman, hit it off, and we spoke to each other. And he spoke to me as much as I spoke to him. He just didn't write his down.
So there was just this instant human connection that
It
you're
was.
describing.
It was.
Okay,
It was not an older woman and a younger man. It was two people talking,
okay.
and it was wonderful.
Thank you so much for sharing tonight. We really appreciate it. And we hope to read more of your stories. And now, Jenny Newbury Waters will perform Lost and Found, written by Robin Lane.
Did I seek you? Did you seek me? I know you did, but it seems strange thinking of you as a seeker. Couldn't you snap your fingers and get anything you wanted? No. Not love. Love comes with very hard work. Love comes in waiting, and sometimes never comes, no matter what you do. Did I find you in a book? I always loved books. This book, you bled all over the pages. You are love, my love. The lover who pays the highest price. Me. I was a lonely, much-hated child. Unimportant, often ridiculed. It seemed so easy finding you, but pursuing you as you called me deeper into your love was harder. When I was 24, you wooed me. I got into a car crash, but you'd already given me the choice whether to stay on Earth or go home to you. I'd chosen to stay, not because I thought Earth is better, but because I wanted to help others come to share this kind of love with you. So I couldn't die. You wouldn't let it happen. The broken seat on the car, which had made me so uncomfortable whenever I drove it, saved my life. In the hospital, where they put my leg in traction and later put a metal plate in my broken hip, my visitors came frequently at first and then dwindled as the month wore on. I needed grounding. A human face was best, but they were increasingly fewer. My mind was drifting away with the help of many drugs. But you stayed. Together we played. You taught me the need for physical grounding and about the parts we all play of child, parent, and adult, ideas I'd recognize later when people spoke of them. You took me back to painful moments, let me feel them for the first time, began to heal me. You became a part of me, let me feel what you feel. We became one. My life and yours intermingled, and both were transformed minute by minute. The craziness got worse. Out of the hospital, without the drugs, you and I had become monsters no one understood. You didn't match the book anymore. I was so wrong, the floor dropped out from under me. The gift that saved me from my insanity was harsh. Injections that made me able to think straight rendered me bowed and shaking like an old woman, kept me up at night with convulsions, took away my imagination, and made me so docile I was easily talked out of the closeness you had given me. It was, they said, a delusion. The gift was an obstacle. Into the depths of pain I tripped. I struggled with monster depression. But when I most needed a friend, I was turned away, told to spend my time with you. But I could only vaguely imagine you in the rocking chair, silent and still. The closeness between us didn't return in earnest until mania hit me again. Could we ever be one again when I was sane? When my logic crawled back, I couldn't believe that you would be so close to the likes of me. So, I pushed you back up into the sky and let other entities take your place. Until after my daughter was born. You asked me if you could be her father. I said yes. I let you back when I was sane. Since then, we've been together, one through all my states of being. Forever.
Well, Robin, thanks for joining us on the set tonight and sharing that really intense story. What was your experience like at the workshop in writing this?
Well, previously I had been writing, I think, mostly fiction pieces, and I wanted to start writing something, personal from nonfiction. And Katie had this theme that week of hero seeking treasure. And she was saying, you have a hero, the hero seeks a treasure, and there is